We have Anupam in the house, a cybersecurity expert, former CTO of two big companies, and MIT alumnus. And he's on the review panel for MIT Tech Review, which is pretty cool. If anyone knows what's keeping CISOs up at night, yeah, it's going to be him. So Anupam, with that, the mic is yours. Please.
Thank you, Manan. Yeah, thank you for the opportunity. I'm excited to be here. Good morning and good afternoon and good evening, depending on where you are. So the top, as Manan said, my background, I've been an executive technology leader for 25 plus years. I played multiple leadership roles in engineering, technology, and product management, business strategy. And I live in the Bay Area. I've been here for 25 plus years. I currently advise a number of startups in AI security and cloud in general. So what I'll try to do today is to give you a good sense of the industry, the state of the industry, where we are, where were we 3 years ago, where are we today, and where are we headed. And it's a short talk, 10 to 15 minutes, I was told. So I'll go through some concept really cool, very quickly, and hopefully that gives you a sense, and then we can follow up as needed. So the agenda is that I would basically give you the state of the union of cybersecurity today versus 3 years ago, what's coming, and what's the good, bad, and somewhat scary future that we are, that we are upon, given all the developments that AI is kind of making happen, and I'll talk about that. So, what has changed? I would say I would call out three things. One is this whole rapid automation and AI generative capabilities. And reasoning is also coming in, right? There was a recent Apple paper where they said, where they poo-pooed the fact that there's reasoning actually happening. But certainly generative AI and agentic AI are kind of changing the game in terms of automation and capabilities that are now possible with AI. And I call it hybrid AI, which is a combination of symbolic AI, which was the 50s and 60s kind of a realm, Prolog and logic programming, and then machine learning, and then the large language models, and now agentic AI. So all of them combined together is very powerful. And this thing is kind of doubling in capacity and capability every 6 months. So remember the Moore law, which was doubling the microprocessor capacity every 18 months, this doubles every 6 months. So what it can do now, 2 years down the road, is unfathomable in some sense. And cybersecurity, I just want to put something out there that there is nothing called 100% security. It's just a pipe dream. And it's not a good thing to hear, but the reality is that you want to focus on protecting your most critical assets. The attackers need to be right just once. The hackers will need to be right once, and defenders in the enterprise need to be right 100% of the time. So it's a very asymmetric battle that I'll talk about. But the key is to pick your battles, pick your critical assets, and of course, all of this is powered by data. And AI drives, each data and consumes data and makes all these automation happen. So let's dive right into it. I mean, if you look at the current state of the union, as it were, certainly AI, ML, LLM is ramping up, but there's a lot more to be done. And there are about 5 challenges that I'll talk about. One is what I call the needle in the haystack problem, right? There's alert fatigue. And typically organizations handle something like 4,000 alerts per day. And just the sheer volume and trying to figure out which one is a real alert that I need to worry about versus neglect is a challenge. And larger enterprises have something like 11,000 alerts. And the reality is 30 to 50% of these alerts are ignored because of the sheer volume and inability to handle these attacks or incidents. The other thing that I mentioned earlier is the inherent asymmetry between attackers and defenders. And if you look at the breach reports out there, typically it takes seconds and minutes for attackers to break in and steal the crown jewels. And it takes 9 months for defenders to figure out, A, they were attacked, and then to recover from it. So it's a huge asymmetric problem. And as I said, attackers need to be right once, and defenders need to be right all the time. So and given the alert fatigue, etc., it's just a very difficult problem to solve. And today's tools are static signature driven tools, which makes it harder. You have to know the attack patterns. With AI, that's getting difficult. There are about 400,000 new malware signatures that are generated and detected every day. That's about 100 million new signatures. So if you have a signature-based system, it's going to fail, right? And there are adversarial systems, AI-driven attack systems that are able to uh, find a way to work around the AI defenses, the early AI defenses, by making them believe that they are actually innocuous and benign. So it's a huge challenge. The other challenge that enterprises face today is that there are about 20 to 30 different cybersecurity tools that an enterprise have, whether it's on premises, whether it's IoT, whether it's cloud, so you name it, application security tools. An average enterprise has about 20 to 30 cybersecurity tools. There's no single dashboard, no unified view of your entire system about your enterprise. And that's why, and 80% of the tools out there don't deal with cloud assets. So you have a fragmented, siloed approach today, which causes the problem too. And then regulatory and compliance burden is huge. It's ever expanding, and the cost of a breach is somewhere between $4 to $8 million. And the regulatory cost adds to that number, multiplies it by 1 to 2x. So it's not a happy place to be today from an ugly perspective. And then you marry that with the talent gap, you're looking at a huge problem. The very few people who understand the bits and bytes of cybersecurity, how to handle it, how to manage it, how to operate a SOC when it comes to a security operations center. And that's the problem. And with AI thrown into the mix, it's another level of complication, because you need to have AI savvy people and also cybersecurity savvy people. So it's a big, gigantic problem. So with that kind of a morose, kind of a sad, bad view, let me turn into something good, right? So AI certainly has the potential of generating a lot of good. And you can see that with AI, there is a potential of reducing the noise by about 90%. So you're still left with 10% of the 80,000 or 4,000 to 20,000 alerts that come in. So, but it's still a big number, but there's a huge reduction. And with AI, there is a 40% reduction in breach-related costs, which is a good thing. And the inherent asymmetry, again, with AI-based tools and defenses, you can reduce the noise by about 90%, and also the reduction in the mean time to detection. So remember, I said the total time to detect and to recover from an attack was 9 months. Roughly, it takes about 6 months to detect it. So that can be crashed from 6 months to about 1.2 months, right? So it's still a substantial asymmetry from minutes and seconds to about 2 months. And that asymmetry remains even with AI automation, because the hackers are also using AI to speed up their attack patterns and improvements. And then automating the remediation, again, is hugely expedited. You can see improvements of 50 to 70%, and thereby the total breach cost, which can now be reduced by 30%, from 4 to 6 million, it's down to about 3 to 5 million. So not a big change, but it's a good thing. The silos, again, as I said, 80% of the tools don't deal with cloud related assets. but with a cloud native based approach. The latest gen apps are using a cloud based approach to handle and provide a unified console, add in AI agents that kind of supplement that, and you have a more kind of a cybersecurity workhorse capability that agents can bring in. And then with AI driven automated data gathering and evidence gathering, the regulatory and compliance burden can also can be improved greatly. So audit preparation time, instead of manually trying to collect all the evidence that your regulations need, you're able to do that in an automated fashion by having an agent crawl through the enterprise assets, both structured data and unstructured data now with LLM can be included in that evidence gathering and automation that brings down the cost by 50 to 70%. So there's a huge change that's going, and and the talent as well. Now you can have AI agents that can do the low level, the first level triaging and automated remediation, and the productivity and the number of alerts that typically would be handled manually is now automated from a handling perspective and a recovery perspective. So again, these numbers are emerging. These are still early days. And as agentic AI becomes more smart, as AI becomes more smart, some of these numbers will rise. And it kind of improves the talent short gap problem that I talked about, because now you can use AI agents, which are kind of like a junior analyst almost, who can do the dirty work, which are manual intensive, instead of trying to find people who understand and do that. So what's next? Let's talk about that, right? I mean, this whole journey has been very interesting. You know, when I remember 5 years ago, we were talking about AI-led operations, and it was very early days, and there are multiple stages of evolution for AI-led operations. First was to understand and describe what's going on, finding the root cause analysis, and then predicting, and then making it autonomous. And now we are at a stage where we can create autonomous SOCs, security operation centers, which are driven and powered by agentic systems. And you have, going forward, a situation where you have agentic driven offenses and defenses fighting out and trying to outsmart each other. We are looking at self-healing systems which are able to detect and recover and quarantine themselves and heal whatever is wrong. So it's not far off. And Gartner is already forecasting that by 2027, that 75% of SOCs will be automated using some agent-driven AI capability. And if you look at the forecast of the AI-driven cybersecurity market over the next 5 years, it's growing at a rapid rate of 25 to 30%. So cybersecurity market per se is growing about 5 to 10%, but AI-powered cybersecurity is on an exponential growth path for the reasons that I just talked about, because the potential of having the AI be able to automate and expedite and draw meaningful and conclusions and to take actions is going to get very capable very soon, and a lot of this is already happening. Today, systems are signature driven. What that means is that you have to know a priori what the attack patterns are, and that's not going to cut it. In the world of AI, I talked about 100 million new signatures that are being used by attackers, leveraging AI to attack you. And so that's going to change. And we need to have smarter systems defending these attackers. And that's basically driven by AI-driven systems that are able to create new signatures on the fly and detect them and deal with them. And finally, one of the big drawbacks today is that AI safety and explainability is not that clear today, right? The people do not fully understand how LLMs make certain deductions or flag certain incidents as problematic, and that's because we as an industry are still trying to understand how LLMs work. So providing auditability and trackability and explainability is in early stages. There's some efforts that are going on that will help us there, but it's still early days. So the expectation is that as we go forward, we make a lot more progress there to make everything that we do more justifiable, auditable, trackable, and explainable. So there's a lot of work going on in there, and regulations again are going to be a huge, huge sort of evolution as we go forward. So I know I'm kind of coming up on my 15-minute time. So last slide. So I want to say, you know, it's going to get worse before it gets better. That's the message I want you to take away. Right now, you have the hackers that are really armed with this new powerful capability, autonomous capability that they're attacking, and the number of breaches that have happened over the last few months have gone up. If you compare that to 23, there was a big spike in 2024, and then now in 2025. But as the agentic and AI driven defense systems go up and get better, this is going to get better, as I said, with some stats that I showed up there. So let me pause here and see whether there are any questions.
Anupam, thank you so much. This was really well timed and very nicely prepared and packed also.
Thank you.
Does anyone have a question? Else I have one which I'll share. Okay. So I'm going to see the first question.
Sure.
In this world of like AI first cybersecurity attacks and defense, do we soon arrive at a world where the defense just becomes stronger, or do the attacks continue to become stronger too? Like, is this an equal arms race of sorts, or is one going to grow exponentially? Because I assume with AI you can replicate and it can train itself. And what's your opinion on this? Like, does this become like exorbitantly expensive for smaller companies to afford the right defense mechanisms as the attackers get stronger? That's sort of like the direction I wanted to pick your brains in.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, I think that's a great question, and I can conjecture. If you look at the state of the cybersecurity, the battle between attackers and hackers and defenders, it's been an asymmetric race for the last 10 years at least. I've been in the industry for about 15 plus years, and it's been a asymmetric race for the simple reason that, as I said earlier, attackers need to be right once and the defenders need to be right 100% of the time. So as AI gets more capable on both sides, maybe the gap decreases, and the challenge to the industry is how to close that gap. And that's going to be a tricky battle that we need to do and fight for. But I think it's closer than ever that AI-enabled defenses can be as smart as the attackers. But it remains to be seen whether they can leapfrog or we can leapfrog them. But it needs a quantum change in terms of how both sides are looking at defending or securing them. Hopefully, I was not being too vague and answered your question.
It's a scary world.
It is a scary one.
Yes, please go ahead, Sam.
Yeah. So basically, I saw your presentation. That was very good and very insightful as well. But all the good side are dependent on the AI, I believe. I saw like 90% of the good side of the cybersecurity and is dependent on the AI. But as for my little bit knowledge, AI itself is a very security concern right now for the companies as well. So how we cybersecurity can be predictability of 90% on the thing that is basically itself is not secured that much.
Yeah,
So
no,
my question is basically, do we have, as in professionals, you are sitting in that level, so do we have a certain plan for this as well in alternative plan? Because the AI security itself is very concerning part right now as well.
no, absolutely. I think that's a great point. Yes, AI deployments per se there are lots of regulatory and security concerns with AI deployments in the first place. And there are companies that are building tools and capabilities to handle that. So yes, in my presentation today, I did not touch upon AI's own challenges that exist. So this is one of the clearly the regulatory challenges and security challenges are part of it. I was talking about if AI was able to be unleashed, what can be done? And companies need to look at all three, right? One is to make sure their AI deployments are secure and follow regulatory requirements. There needs to be red teaming or security, capabilities to make sure that that part is secure. And then cybersecurity deployments, which are powered by AI, clearly have a vulnerability on the cybersecurity side and on the AI side too. So that's a good point.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
Okay, I guess that's it for the questions. Anupam, thank you so much once again. This was great.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Take
much.
care.
Okay.
Bye.
Good day. Bye.